Nobody expected the next FIFA World Cup to become one of the hardest tournaments to predict in football history. Every 4 years, millions of fans believe they already know who the favorites are. The biggest nations, the biggest stars, and the biggest expectations always dominate the conversation. But what if the real winner isn't the team everyone is talking about? What if the statistics, history, and even the way modern football has evolved are pointing toward a completely different story? The truth is, the next World Cup could be decided by factors that most fans never even consider, and once you see them, you'll never look at international football the same way again. Welcome back to GameBlueprint. Today we are diving into one of the biggest questions in world football: who will win the next World Cup? It sounds like a simple debate, but the deeper you look, the more complicated it becomes. Football has changed dramatically over the past decade. The gap between the traditional giants and the rising nations is smaller than ever. Tactical systems are evolving, young superstars are replacing legendary veterans, and one small mistake can end years of preparation. By the end of this story, you'll understand why predicting the next world champion is far more difficult than simply picking the strongest team on paper. For decades, the World Cup followed familiar patterns. Nations like Brazil, Germany, Italy, Argentina, and France built dynasties that seemed almost impossible to challenge. Their football cultures produced endless generations of elite players, while smaller countries often struggled to compete over 7 exhausting matches. History appeared to favor the traditional powers. Fans believed that experience alone could carry these teams through the biggest tournament in sports. But that was only the beginning. Modern football has completely rewritten the rules. Elite coaching is now available across the globe. Sports science has transformed player fitness. Video analysis allows coaches to study every movement of their opponents. Even countries with smaller football histories now produce players competing in Europe's biggest leagues every single week. The difference between favorites and outsiders has never been smaller. Take Argentina's victory in 2022. Many people remember Lionel Messi finally lifting the trophy, but they often forget how difficult that journey really was. Argentina lost their opening match to Saudi Arabia, one of the biggest upsets in World Cup history. Most people assumed their tournament was already over. Instead, that shocking defeat became the turning point that united the squad. Every remaining game became a final. Every player accepted their role. What happened next changed everything, proving that early setbacks don't necessarily define champions. France entered that same tournament as defending champions despite losing several key players through injury before the competition even began. Many experts predicted disaster. Instead, they reached another World Cup final. Their incredible squad depth demonstrated something many fans underestimate. Winning a World Cup isn't just about having 11 world-class players. It's about having 26 players capable of performing under enormous pressure. Nobody saw this coming years ago, but squad depth has become one of the most important factors in international football. The tournament schedule is relentless. Teams play every few days, injuries accumulate, suspensions happen, and fatigue affects even the greatest athletes. Nations with strong benches often survive challenges that eliminate equally talented opponents. Then there's Spain. After dominating world football between 2008 and 2012, many believed their golden era had ended forever. Years of disappointing tournaments seemed to confirm that belief. However, the story didn't end there. Spain rebuilt from the ground up, investing heavily in young talent and returning to a possession-based philosophy with greater speed and flexibility. Today, they possess one of the youngest and most technically gifted squads in international football. Players who grew up watching the legendary Spanish teams are now creating their own identity. England presents another fascinating case. Every tournament begins with enormous expectations, and almost every tournament ends with disappointment. Yet beneath the jokes and criticism lies a team that continues improving. England has reached major finals and semi-finals consistently over recent years. Their squad combines experienced leaders with exciting young stars playing for Europe's biggest clubs. The real question isn't whether England has enough talent. It's whether they can handle the psychological pressure that comes with representing a nation desperate to relive its greatest football memories. Things were about to become even more interesting. Brazil remains one of football's greatest mysteries. No nation has won more World Cups, and every generation produces extraordinary talent. From brilliant attackers to creative midfielders and technically gifted defenders, Brazil rarely lacks quality. Yet recent tournaments have ended in frustration. Their challenge isn't producing world-class players. It's finding the perfect balance between individual brilliance and collective discipline. Modern World Cups punish defensive mistakes more severely than ever before. Then there's France, arguably the nation with the deepest talent pool in world football. Their production line seems endless. Every season introduces another group of elite young players ready for the international stage. Physically powerful, tactically flexible, and blessed with remarkable athleticism, France has all the ingredients of another champion. But football history teaches us something important. Having the strongest squad doesn't guarantee lifting the trophy. Pressure, injuries, confidence, and momentum often prove just as valuable. Portugal enters every conversation because of its remarkable generation of talent. Although Cristiano Ronaldo defined an era, the country's future no longer depends on one player. A new wave of technically gifted midfielders, creative attackers, and intelligent defenders has emerged. Portugal now possesses one of the most balanced squads in its history. Their biggest challenge lies in transforming individual quality into tournament consistency. Germany's story might be the most unpredictable of all. Once famous for ruthless efficiency, they experienced several painful disappointments that shocked the football world. Many questioned whether German football had lost its identity. But history shows Germany rarely stays down for long. They have repeatedly rebuilt stronger after failure. If they arrive at the next World Cup with confidence and momentum, ignoring them could become a costly mistake. However, the story didn't end there. The real surprise comes from nations outside football's traditional elite. Morocco stunned the world by reaching the semifinals in 2022. Croatia has repeatedly exceeded expectations despite its relatively small population. Japan continues making tactical improvements every tournament. The United States is developing an ambitious generation playing across Europe's top leagues. Nations once considered outsiders now believe they belong among the world's best. This shift reflects a deeper truth about international football. Success is no longer determined solely by reputation. Organization, tactical intelligence, player development, and mental resilience matter more than famous badges or historical achievements. One factor almost nobody discusses is tournament timing. Club football now demands more from players than ever before. Long domestic seasons, Champions League campaigns, international travel, and increasing fixture congestion leave many stars physically exhausted before the World Cup even begins. Teams capable of managing player workloads may gain an enormous advantage before a ball is even kicked. Another hidden factor is chemistry. Unlike club football, national teams spend very little time together. Coaches often have only a few training sessions before facing elite opposition. This means tactical complexity must be balanced with simplicity. The best international managers create systems that maximize strengths without overwhelming players with unnecessary instructions. What happened next changed football forever. Analytics have transformed decision-making. Coaching staffs analyze passing networks, defensive positioning, pressing intensity, transition speed, and even player movement without the ball. Every weakness is studied in extraordinary detail. Penalty shootouts, once considered pure luck, are now carefully researched using years of statistical data and psychological preparation. Mental strength has become equally important. Every World Cup produces unforgettable moments because pressure changes everything. Players who dominate club football sometimes struggle under the weight of representing their country. Others become heroes despite being relatively unknown. Confidence can spread through an entire squad, while fear can do exactly the opposite. Home conditions also play a significant role. Climate, travel distances, recovery time, stadium atmosphere, and adaptation all influence performance. Some teams adjust quickly. Others never truly feel comfortable throughout the tournament. Small advantages become massive over 7 matches. Then there is the unpredictable nature of knockout football. One red card. One injury. One controversial decision. One missed penalty. One moment of individual brilliance. Any of these can completely rewrite football history. That's why World Cups remain so captivating. They refuse to follow predictable scripts. Nobody saw this coming, but the modern World Cup increasingly rewards complete teams rather than collections of superstars. Defenders contribute to attacks. Goalkeepers initiate build-up play. Midfielders press relentlessly. Forwards defend from the front. Every position demands technical quality and tactical intelligence. So who will actually win the next World Cup? If we judge purely by talent, France remains one of the strongest contenders. If we value momentum and tactical evolution, Spain deserves serious attention. If experience and resilience matter most, Argentina cannot be ignored. Brazil's incredible talent always makes them dangerous. England continues moving closer with every tournament. Portugal has perhaps its most balanced generation ever. Germany possesses the history and mentality to surprise everyone once again. But perhaps the biggest truth is this: the next champion may not be the team everyone expects. Football has entered an era where preparation often outweighs reputation. The strongest squad on paper doesn't always survive the pressure of the world's biggest stage. Champions are built through unity, adaptability, discipline, and belief. They overcome setbacks instead of avoiding them. They improve during the tournament rather than relying solely on pre-tournament expectations. History reminds us that every World Cup creates new legends. Unknown players become household names. Young stars announce themselves to the world. Veterans write unforgettable final chapters. Entire nations unite behind moments that last forever. That's what makes the tournament unlike anything else in sports. When the next World Cup finally begins, millions of predictions will flood television screens and social media. Experts will debate endlessly. Fans will defend their favorites with absolute confidence. Yet football has a remarkable habit of surprising everyone. The next champion won't simply be the most talented team. It will be the team that adapts fastest, believes strongest, and delivers when every second matters. And maybe that's the truth no one talks about. Winning the World Cup has never been just about having the best players. It's about becoming the best team at exactly the right moment. The nation that masters pressure, embraces adversity, and grows stronger with every match will stand above the rest when the final whistle blows. Until then, every prediction remains exactly that, a prediction. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more football stories from GameBlueprint. Let us know in the comments which nation you believe will lift the next World Cup, and more importantly, why. Football always gives us unforgettable stories, and the next chapter might just be the greatest one yet.